Fidelity to Scripture obliges us to recognize God's will as sovereign. The early fathers are sometimes reluctant to express the truth of the matter, because they are afraid to give evildoers cause to slander God's works or to speak irreverently of them. I commend their caution, although I do not think that there is any danger in simply following what Scripture teaches. Augustine himself sometimes has similar misgivings, as when he says that the blinding and hardening of the wicked refer not to God's activity, but to his foreknowledge. Clever though it is, this argument cannot be squared with the statements of Scripture, which clearly show that something other than God's foreknowledge is involved. Likewise, the notion advanced by others that God permits evil but does not send it cannot be maintained. God is often said to blind and harden the wicked, and to turn, incline, and move their hearts. To invoke God's foreknowledge or permission is not the way to explain such expressions. By way of answer, we offer a twofold explanation. First, just as once God's light is removed, only darkness and blindness remain in us. So too, once his Spirit is taken from us, our hearts become as hard as stone. Once he ceases to guide us, we can only wander uphill and down dale. God, then, is justly said to blind, harden, and move those whom he has deprived of the ability to see, obey, and act aright. The second explanation, which comes closer to the tenor of the words, is to say that God, in using the devil as the agent of his wrath to execute his judgments, directs as he chooses the schemes of the wicked, stirs their will, and confirms their endeavor. The first explanation fits the sense of Job's words. He deprives the eloquent of speech, and the elders and the wise of counsel. He takes courage away from earthly rulers and causes them to lose their way. So too the words of Paul. God sends upon them a powerful delusion to make them believe a lie. So too Isaiah. Why, Lord, have you deprived us of reason? Why have you hardened our heart so that we cease to fear? The purpose of all these texts is to show not so much how God works in men as what he makes of them once he forsakes and abandons them. There are, however, other scriptures which go further than these, as when mention is made of Pharaoh's hardening. I will harden Pharaoh's heart, says the Lord, lest he hear you and free my people. Later he says that he has made his heart firm and unbending. Should we take this to mean that God hardened his heart by refusing to soften it? That is certainly true, but God did something else. He gave Pharaoh's heart up to Satan in order to stiffen his obstinacy. That is why he had earlier declared, I will lay hold of his heart. Similarly, when the people of Israel left Egypt, the inhabitants of the country they entered came out to meet them with hostile intent. Who shall we say stirred them up? Moses firmly states that it was the Lord who had made their hearts hard. The prophet, in his account of the same story, asserts that the Lord turned their hearts to hatred of his people. It is therefore impossible to maintain that they sinned simply because they were deprived of God's counsel. For if they were confirmed and led in their resolve to do such things, the Lord was in some way guiding and directing them. Moreover, every time he chose to punish his people's transgression, was it not by the hands of evil men? It was done, however, in such a way that the power and efficacy of the work came from him, these merely being his agents. Thus, he sometimes threatens to whistle and summon unbelieving peoples to destroy Israel, comparing them at one time to a net, and at another to a hammer. He chiefly shows, however, that he is not idle in them when he compares Sennacherib, an evil, willful man, to an axe, declaring that with his hand he led and drove him to hew, according to his good pleasure. In one of his works, Augustine draws a rather apt distinction. When the wicked sin, he writes, it is their own doing. But whether they commit one sin or another depends on the power of God, who divides the darkness as seems good to him.